Kafe has definitely been the map in the game that has had my most opinion change. I used to absolutely love this map, it used to be literally my favourite map in the game, but as of recently I've got really tired of it and it's becoming one of my least favourite maps in the game. Is that the rework's fault? Absolutely not, because this rework was incredible, it just made a great map even better. It probably doesn't help that this was one of the earlier reworks to come out and this map hasn't really seen much change since, but I think a lot of people do like Kafe anyway, so my opinion is invalid. And of course this video isn't about my hatred for Kafe, it's about comparing the old Kafe to the new Kafe. So let's get into some more nostalgia and check out this beautiful map. Just like with how House lost one of its attacker spawn points, Kafe also lost one of its attacker spawn points, that being the East Main Street. Not really sure why they decided to get rid of this, but to be honest it was probably the least used one anyway. As for the park spawn point, you used to spawn in the park alley rather than the park, but the difference is very minimal anyway. Nothing has really changed around this East Street area, except a couple of irrelevant cars changing positions slightly. I thought this construction lift was probably going to be gone in the rework, but it is actually still here, though it doesn't really have much use anymore. To be honest, I don't think it really had much use to begin with anyway. This window here did used to be open, so I guess you could see through there, but you can't really see much through there. This window is now closed off in the rework. Also, this downstairs window here used to be open on the right, but now it's the opposite way around. On the West Main Street, one of these sheds here were removed, leaving just one lonely shed behind. Poor little guy lost his brother. I'm actually surprised at how little the Christmas market changed. I thought this spawn point changed a lot to make spawn killing less common, but not much has really changed to be fair. This construction lift is still here as well, which again, completely forgot it even existed. Completely forgot it still exists actually. Does anyone even use this? At the back alley, these windows that are closed off are definitely a lot easier to tell now in the rework over the original. We'll get to which ones changed when we get into the building though. Nothing much interesting has changed at the park either. This ladder is still here in the rework, but it did actually shift position slightly. There's a drone hole here now in the south side of the building that never used to be there in the original. This drone hole leads into the kitchen. Let's get inside the building now and have a look at the bakery. The bakery is one of the rooms that I thought changed a lot between both versions, but surprisingly this room didn't really change at all. Even none of the furniture has moved. The only thing that was added is this wall to the north, which now splits the bakery into two rooms, that being the bakery and the small bakery. Small bakery didn't exist in the original and it was just all the bakery. This other window in small bakery used to be open. Both of these two windows this side were open. And then this window in the regular bakery used to also be open. So you used to have 3 windows as well as the door to worry about in bakery. Whereas now you pretty much only have the door as the room has been split into 2. This artwork on the ceiling is still here in the rework as well. Prep room, or as it was then known, bakery kitchen, did change a lot however. Some of the cupboards have been moved, and the room overall got smaller. There was a lot more space in here on the north side in front of this kitchen door. This space is now moved to the kitchen though, making the kitchen bigger and this room smaller. The window on the south side here used to be breachable. I can't imagine this window being open nowadays. That will definitely change how the kitchen's played, and maybe not even make it the second best site anymore. And then on the east side, which nowadays is a window that leads to the kitchen, used to just be a breachable wall. The kitchen itself changed a lot. I mean, this is probably the room on the map that had the most notable changes. So much so that it's pretty much unrecognizable to how it used to be. All of the breachable walls are in the same place at least, other than that one to the east leading to the main door. This used to just be a solid wall with a small hole in it that you could shoot through. The kitchen used to be split into 3 different parts. The northwest part being the kitchen prep, the south part being the kitchen grill, and then this part by the main door being the kitchen pickup. Despite all 3 of these having separate room names though, it still felt like just one big room. There wasn't a barricadable door or anything between these rooms, it was literally just one open area. Nowadays though, it's split into 2 different rooms, the kitchen cooking and the kitchen service, being split between one barricadable door and a breachable wall. The kitchen is overall a lot more bigger now than it used to be. Where I'm standing now is where the kitchen pickup used to be, so that main door was pushed back a lot more towards the north. Then where I'm standing now is where the cold room corridor used to be, but this corridor no longer exists in the rework. Speaking of that cold room corridor though, let's check out the actual cold room, which nowadays is called the freezer. I remember this from Nats for sure. This room used to only have one entrance, that being the main door that connected to the kitchen grill. That door is basically where the window now is. The cold room did have a hatch as well, and the breachable walls leading to the stairs are pretty much opposite the stairs now, whereas before they were a lot more to the left, roughly about here, because this area here did actually used to be part of the cold room. Now let's get back into the corridor. Going right out of this door will lead you down the cold room corridor, which will then lead you to the cold room corridor again. Both of these corridors are called the cold room corridor, but in the rework, this corridor behind the freezer is called the VIP corridor. This is where the entrance to the cold room corridor would be that led to the kitchen entrance. But again, that part of the corridor is no more, and so this is just a brick wall now. Going right out of the kitchen door nowadays would take you to a breachable wall, but this breachable wall just leads to behind the bar instead. The dining room area of the map is another area that's changed quite a lot. Originally it was just the dining room, but now it's been split into 3 different rooms, those being the dining room, the bar and reception. The layout is mostly the same, but the bar did get pushed back more to the south, so there's definitely more space in here now, and the reception area now has walls around it. Speaking of the reception area, you have this window in the west wall of the rework, which leads to the coat check. This window doesn't exist in the original though, because the coat check room actually didn't exist. This means this door to the coat check also didn't exist in the original, and so this whole bit down the corridor was just a brick wall. Now, I don't like things that make no sense. And there is definitely a part of this original version of the map that does not make any sense, because the outside window to the coat check actually did still exist, but boarded up of course, and it's still boarded up in the rework. It's not the fact that it's boarded up is the weird thing though, it's the fact that it's even there in the original, because that shows that there is actually a room here that we just can't access. But where is the entrance door to this room? Literally every single wall that could lead to this room has no inaccessible door or anything to it, so this is just a room that has a window and that's it, no door? What is this about? But then there's also this window which leads right to the stairs, but again on the other side of the stairs there's no window there, so I know this building is based on one in real life, but is it actually like this in real life as well? Are there just random rooms that you can't get to? This is some very interesting Russian architecture right here. Well, anyway, let's forget about that and check out the stairs in the dining room, because these stairs did actually move. They did used to be more in the center of the room right here, and this is roughly where they were in the rework. And then this is where they came out in the pillar room, or as it was then known, the pillar dining room. Now the stairs have been pushed all the way to the north wall though. And now's a good time to talk about these two windows on the north wall. Both exist in both versions, but the left one here was open in the original, with the right one closed, but now it's the opposite, and the right one is open with the left one closed. Where is this left one though? I don't see another window here. Well, the stairs are in front of it now, but now we have another strange architecture situation, because if we look outside, this window is still here, but we don't see it on the other side anymore. There is some really weird stuff going on with this building. And then the VIP section is now a bit bigger, and it's split off from the dining room with a single door. The storage and the VIP corridor have had pretty much no changes at all, to be honest, other than those breachable walls being moved as mentioned before, and also a new single door being added that goes into the bar. You can see the railings on the stairs are also now filled in, so people can't get any nasty peeks on them. This is mostly the same with every map nowadays. Also, this part isn't called the storage anymore, and it's just part of the VIP corridor instead. Now let's go up those stairs in the dining room and head to the second floor into the pillar room. The main part of this room that changed is the thing we already covered, which is the stairs moving. Behind the original stairs there used to be another breachable wall here to the reading room. This breachable wall wasn't one you could walk through though, it had iron bars on the other side, but this breachable wall has now just been replaced by a solid wall. At the west end of the room we now have this small round table here, but in the original we had a large rectangular table and you could actually lay underneath this table. Not the best spot with that window on the left, but it did give you a nice angle to that door. You could even shoot through this wood here and not break it. That would definitely surprise the attackers. But if they know you're under the table, I think you're going to be pretty much screwed. That's not the only cool thing that was in this room though. You also had these wooden cabinets that you could break the doors off of and crawl inside them. I don't think any of these three places were that beneficial though, but with the old siege lighting, it could definitely be hard to see people inside these sometimes, and you could definitely get some sneaky kills off of them. Two of these cabinets are still here and you can break the doors off of them, but they've added some bars inside so you can't actually crawl inside them anymore. No fun allowed. I think the most notable change with this room though is the extra floor space up top. But we're going to talk about that when we get up to the third floor. This whole wall around the door to the reading room used to be breachable. Every single bit of it, even right above the door. But now the whole thing is solid. You don't really get walls like this anymore that are just literally right around the door that you can breach. It was fun times back then. Other than some very minor props changing place, the reading room hasn't really changed much at all. The colours feel like they pop so much more in this old version compared to the new. But honestly in general I think most of the new aesthetics for this map are better, which is rare to say about a siege map for me. But this room in particular I feel looks a lot better in the old version. Also this poor Christmas tree is gone. There did used to be a hatch in the reading room right here though. But this hatch is no longer there. This whole ceiling is still breachable though, even where the hatch used to be. In the corridor, there used to be this drone hole in the south wall, which led out onto that storage roof. This drone hole isn't here anymore though, and to be honest, I don't think anyone would have even noticed anyway. This drone hole was pretty underused. I mean, it was literally just on the storage roof, where there's basically no reason to ever go there. I mean, it's not like you can even just walk onto there. You have to literally jump over this wall to get there. This whole ceiling in the corridor looks breachable, but it's actually not. If you break off this wood, most of it is just concrete on the other side. There's just a small portion here that you can actually break, which is the same as in the rework currently. They've just made it so it's a lot easier now to see what's actually breachable, which is a good change in my opinion. The only changes in the fireplace hall were one of the windows closing and the hatch moving slightly. The hatch never used to be right against the wall. and this left window used to be open. Now there's only one window open in this room. Both the train room and mining room were kept exactly the same actually, except one thing, which is the floor. Neither of the floors in these rooms were breachable in the original, but nowadays the majority of the floors are breachable here. These floors leading down into the kitchen, so the majority of the kitchen ceiling in the original wasn't breachable, whilst nowadays most of it is breachable. Also, I literally only just realised by accident that you can rappel out windows from indoors. How did I only just realise this? And that is the second floor done, so let's move on to the third and final floor. And we'll go up the red stairs here, which used to be called the front stairs. Oh my god, my eyes! Why is it so bright? Nowadays, if we go into the cigar shop and turn left, we would be on the cigar balcony. But back then the cigar balcony didn't exist, so this was actually just a brick wall here. Then there's this little corner part here where you can shoot through nowadays. But in the original, this wall was solid. I mean, it's made of wood, but you just can't shoot through it. Now, the upstairs bar is very similar but very different at the same time. Of course, the cigar balcony didn't exist back then, so the railing here just extended along. And then if we look over to where the cocktail balcony is, this one also didn't exist in the original. That also means that window on the cocktail balcony didn't exist either. Then the cocktail lounge got a bit smaller because this space where I'm standing right now was originally out of bounds. This bit was just surrounded by two brick walls, and then this breachable wall here was a brick wall. Nowadays, only one of these three windows in the cocktail lounge is breachable, which is the one all the way to the right, whilst in the original, two of the three were breachable. And you're probably wondering where that third window is, but it's actually in this out of bounds space on the other side of this wall. Again, another thing that makes no sense about this building design. Where is this window leading to? I want to see the other side of this damn window. Two breachable walls and a door were added between the bar and the cocktail lounge as well, because originally these walls and door didn't exist, so it was all just open space. This definitely makes it a bit easier to defend the cocktail lounge now, and especially because the skylight was a bit different in the original with what sides were open. Pretty much the entire thing was open in the original, and you could get some really nasty peeks as an attacker on those defenders, and the fact that the room was more open just made that even easier. Now though, the entire thing is blocked off other than that front part. If you got a specific angle onto these vents here, you could actually climb up onto them, walk across, and get on top of this big vent here. This will give you an even nastier angle from the skylight. You can still climb up onto these smaller vents in the rework, but you can't get on top of the big one anymore because there's another one on top of that. Although it wouldn't really help that much more nowadays anyway, even if you could. Whilst I'm up here, let's just cover the other one thing I wanted to talk about on the roof, which is the cigar balcony hatch. As the cigar balcony didn't exist in the original, this hatch also didn't exist. Otherwise it would just be a troll hatch and you'd just fall to your death. Then going back indoors, we have the bar back store and the bar freezer. Only difference here being that the bar freezer didn't exist in the original. This room was just called the bar back store again, and there was also a hatch in the floor here which led to the reading room. This hatch is gone, but you can still break the floor right here where the hatch would have been. And now we can move out into the cocktail lounge entrance. I actually kind of like the aesthetics a bit more here in the original over the rework. Again, we have the railings around the stairs as well, so you could definitely see a lot more down the stairs from up top, even getting some really nasty angles all the way down to the first floor stairs. The rest of this corridor used to be called the washroom corridor, but now it's just still called the cocktail lounge entrance for some reason. Two of the windows in this corridor used to be open as well, the middle one and the one all the way to the right, whilst now it's just the middle one. So yes, this window right opposite the washrooms used to be breachable. So mean. And then there's the cigar lounge, which I think is literally identical, to be honest. I don't even see a single prop here that's out of place. Although spawn peeking out these windows might be a bit different now with all the stuff that's changed outside. And with that, that's the whole map done. So let's check out the objective locations. There actually used to only be 3 bomb objectives on this map, with the new one being Reading Room and Fireplace Hall being added. This objective is usually considered the worst one though, although I don't think the difference between this one and Fireplace Hall and Mining Room is that significant. I don't think you're too weird if you decide to go Reading Room and Fireplace Hall. If this objective did exist in the original though, you definitely wouldn't be weird choosing this one, because I think this one probably would be the second best objective actually. The kitchen objective was actually the worst one back then, because it was definitely different to how it is now. Instead of it being kitchen prep and kitchen grill, where the nowadays equivalent is kitchen cooking and kitchen service, it was actually kitchen prep and bakery. So yes, the bakery actually used to be a bomb objective back then. Now if the bakery was part of this bomb objective in the rework, it would probably still be the worst objective actually, with the main reason being that front door to the bakery, because you could literally just plant there, get out and watch the bomb from outside, which would make it really hard for defenders to go and defuse the bomb. Now we're not talking about the reworked bakery though, we're talking about the original bakery. The one that had 3 windows in it as well, because small bakery didn't exist. So you could actually plant in this small bakery area as well. So yeah, this objective was quite a joke actually. Fireplace Hall and Mining Room I think was considered the best bomb objective in the original. That's not to say that it was better in the original, because it wasn't. I would say it was actually slightly worse, just because there were 2 windows to look out for in the Fireplace Hall instead of just the one that we've got nowadays. Cocktail Lounge and Bardo, which is considered the best objective nowadays, was a lot worse back then. Nowhere near as bad as the kitchen and bakery though. The main reasons for it being worse is mostly just because it was a lot more open. And you also didn't have the balconies that you could use to get more angles. And then there was that skylight that was just so much more open. Then there's the secure area and hostage locations, which are basically just the same other than the name changes. This hostage location on the freezer though, this brings back so many memories. Just castling the door with all the defenders inside and waiting for the attackers to breach it. Fun times. I mean, this objective does still exist, I just don't really play hostage anymore as it's not in ranked. Also, here's a quick look of the nighttime cafe on the outside. This is definitely one of the most memorable nighttime variants just because of all the beautiful Christmas lights. And that is cafe done. So yes, this rework overall was a massive improvement over the original, despite it actually not changing that much. The biggest improvements I'd say being the bomb objective reworks and the balconies being added upstairs. Unlike most of the other maps we've covered so far, I would say the aesthetics actually look mostly better in the rework over the original, other than just singular rooms that I've mentioned already. Of course I missed the nighttime variant though. I really wish we had this back. I'd love to see how this looks in Siege X especially. So that's pretty much it for the video then. This one will probably be a bit shorter than usual just because Cafe didn't really change a whole lot, at least compared to the other maps we've covered so far. So thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and let me know which map you'd like to see next. Goodbye.